Good morning. I'm Rimo, and this is the Daily Signal for August 18th, 2025. Ukrainian President Zelensky arrives at the White House today for historic peace talks with Trump, just days after Trump's controversial meetings with Putin in Alaska. This could end a war that's raged for over 3 years. Stay tuned for the rest of the stories.
Unfiltered. Now,
Here are the other top stories for August 18th, 2025. Tens of thousands flood Tel Aviv streets demanding immediate end to Gaza war as civilian casualties mount. Bolivia's socialist government suffers historic electoral defeat, forcing October runoff that could reshape South America. Iraq begins excavating massive ISIS mass grave containing hundreds of victims from 2014 genocide. American spearfisher fighting for life after brutal shark attack in Bahamas tourist waters. Deadly cloudbursts unleash flash floods across India and Pakistan, killing dozens and displacing thousands. Israeli military approves next phase of Gaza offensive targeting Gaza City as international pressure mounts. Serbia's president's crackdown after violent riots rock Belgrade for third consecutive night. Pope Leo XIV breaks protocol, celebrates Mass with homeless community at his private summer villa. Emergency declared as massive wildfires consume thousands of acres across Spain and Portugal. Now let's dive into each story. Right now, history is being written in the Oval Office. President Zelensky isn't coming alone. He's bringing Ukraine's top military commanders and foreign minister as Trump attempts to broker the most significant peace deal since World War II. Here's what happened. Just 72 hours ago, Trump met Putin in Alaska in what he called very successful talks. Now Trump is positioning himself as the only leader who can speak to both sides. Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirmed Trump's unique access to Putin gives America unprecedented leverage. The stakes couldn't be higher. This war has displaced 6 million Ukrainians, killed over 500,000 soldiers and civilians, and pushed the world closer to nuclear conflict than any time since the Cuban Missile Crisis. Why this matters to you? A peace deal here would reshape global security, potentially ending energy crises, food shortages, and the constant threat of World War III that's hung over us for 3 years. The key detail: Trump is demanding a comprehensive peace agreement, not just a ceasefire, meaning permanent borders, security guarantees, and reconstruction funding must all be negotiated today. Meanwhile, Israel's largest anti-war demonstration in months is happening right now. Over 40,000 protesters have shut down central Tel Aviv, demanding Prime Minister Netanyahu end the Gaza offensive immediately. The breaking point: families of hostages are leading the march after learning 23 more captives died in Israeli airstrikes this week. Parents are carrying photographs of their missing children, shouting, "Bring them home alive, not in body bags." Critical numbers: Gaza's death toll has reached 47,000, including 18,000 children. In Israel, 1,400 people were killed in the October 7th attacks, with 132 hostages still missing. Why this matters? These protests represent the first major crack in Israeli public support for the war. Netanyahu's coalition government could collapse if military families withdraw their backing. South America just experienced a political earthquake. Bolivia's Socialist Movement for Socialism party, which has ruled for nearly 2 decades, suffered its worst electoral defeat in history. The stunning result: conservative candidate Samuel Doria Medina won 34% of the vote, forcing socialist candidate David Choquehuanca into a runoff with just 29%. This ends the era of Evo Morales-style socialism that dominated the region. What triggered this? Hyperinflation hit 127% this year, cocaine production reached record levels despite government promises, and corruption scandals exposed $2 billion in missing state funds. Global implications: a conservative victory would align Bolivia with Brazil's and Argentina's rightward shift, potentially ending Chinese influence in lithium mining that powers your electric car batteries. In Iraq, excavators have begun the grim work of unearthing one of ISIS's largest known mass graves. The site near Mosul contains an estimated 400 bodies from the 2014 genocide against Yazidi minorities. The horrific details: forensic teams have already recovered 47 bodies, including women and children with their hands bound. DNA testing will identify victims for families who've waited 11 years for answers. This represents justice delayed. Since ISIS's defeat in 2017, over 200 mass graves have been discovered across Iraq and Syria, containing an estimated 12,000 victims. Only 28 sites have been fully excavated due to funding shortages. Why this matters now? These excavations are crucial evidence for ongoing war crimes trials at The Hague. 3 ISIS commanders are scheduled for sentencing next month based on evidence from similar sites. A Virginia tourist is in critical condition after a bull shark attack while spearfishing in the Bahamas. Michael Rodriguez, 34, lost his right leg below the knee and suffered massive blood loss in waters just 300 yards from his resort. The rescue operation. Fellow divers applied tourniquets underwater before Coast Guard helicopters airlifted Rodriguez to Nassau General Hospital. Doctors performed emergency surgery to save his life. The dangerous trend. This marks the 5th shark attack in Bahamas waters this year, compared to just 2 in all of 2024. Marine biologists blame climate change for driving bull sharks closer to shore as their traditional prey moves to cooler waters. Tourist safety alert. The Bahamas Tourism Board has now banned spearfishing within 1 mile of major resorts and is deploying shark detection buoys at popular diving sites. Devastating cloudbursts are unleashing deadly flash floods across India and Pakistan. These intense localized downpours drop massive amounts of rain in minutes, turning streets into rivers and triggering deadly landslides. The catastrophic numbers: 73 people have died in the past 48 hours, 250,000 are displaced, and entire villages have been washed away in Kashmir and Punjab provinces. What's a cloudburst? Imagine 3 inches of rain falling in just 15 minutes over a 5-square-mile area. These meteorological bombs create walls of water that move faster than people can run. Climate connection. Warming temperatures allow air to hold more moisture, making cloudbursts 23% more intense than a decade ago. Scientists warn these extreme events will become the new normal across South Asia. Israeli Defense Forces have approved the next phase of their Gaza offensive, targeting Gaza City in what military officials call the decisive battle. Defense Minister Zamir announced plans for the largest ground operation since the war began. The military strategy: 50,000 Israeli troops are positioning for a coordinated assault on Gaza City's tunnel networks, where intelligence suggests remaining Hamas leaders are hiding. International pressure mounts. The UN Security Council is meeting in emergency session tonight as EU leaders threaten arms embargoes if civilian casualties increase. The human cost. Gaza City houses 650,000 civilians with nowhere to evacuate. Aid organizations warn of a humanitarian catastrophe worse than anything seen in this conflict. Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić is vowing a tough response after 3 nights of violent riots in Belgrade. Protesters are demanding his resignation over corruption allegations and authoritarian crackdowns. The breaking point: opposition leader Ana Brnabić was arrested during a peaceful demonstration, triggering violent clashes that injured 89 police officers and 156 protesters. Vučić's response: the president has deployed military police to Belgrade and banned gatherings of more than 5 people. He's also suspended opposition media outlets and arrested 400 protest leaders. Regional implications. These are Serbia's largest protests since 2000, when similar demonstrations toppled dictator Slobodan Milošević. EU officials are watching closely as Serbia seeks EU membership. Pope Leo XIV made headlines by celebrating Mass with Rome's homeless community at his private summer villa. The unprecedented gesture breaks centuries of Vatican protocol. The powerful symbolism: 200 homeless individuals shared lunch with the Pope at Castel Gandolfo, the traditional papal retreat where previous popes entertained world leaders and diplomats. His message: Christ calls us to serve the forgotten, not the powerful, the Pope declared during his homily. He's also announced plans to convert unused Vatican properties into homeless shelters. Global impact. This follows the Pope's controversial encyclical demanding wealthy nations redistribute resources to address homelessness and inequality worldwide. Emergency services across Spain and Portugal are battling massive wildfires that have consumed 45,000 acres in 48 hours. Over 3,000 firefighters are deployed as blazes threaten major tourist areas. The crisis zone. Fires are raging just 20 miles from Lisbon and Barcelona, forcing evacuation of 15,000 residents and tourists. Smoke clouds are visible from space. Climate factor. Record temperatures of 118 degrees Fahrenheit combined with severe drought have created perfect fire conditions. These are the worst fires in Iberia since the deadly 2017 blazes that killed 64 people. Tourist impact. Major airlines have canceled flights to affected regions, and insurance companies estimate damages could reach $2 billion. Looking at today's stories, 3 critical themes emerge that will shape your world. First, the peace versus war dynamic. While Trump attempts historic peace talks with Ukraine, conflicts in Gaza and potential military escalation show how fragile global stability remains. The success or failure of today's White House summit could determine whether we move toward peace or closer to World War III. Second, democratic uprising worldwide. From Tel Aviv to Belgrade to Bolivia, people are demanding change from their governments. These aren't isolated protests. They represent a global wave of citizens rejecting authoritarian control and failed policies. Third, climate chaos accelerating. Cloudbursts, wildfires, and changing weather patterns aren't future problems. They're killing people today and reshaping how we live. The shark attacks in the Bahamas might seem unrelated, but marine ecosystems disrupted by warming oceans connect to everything else. What this means for you, we're living through a historical inflection point. The decisions made in the next few months, in peace talks, elections, and climate action, will determine whether we build a more stable world or face escalating crisis. The bottom line, stay informed, stay engaged, and remember that your voice matters in shaping these outcomes. This has been the Daily Signal. I'm Remo. Subscribe for tomorrow's breaking news. Share this episode if it informed you. And remember, an informed citizen is democracy's greatest asset. We'll see you tomorrow morning with the latest developments from around the world.
Unfiltered. Now.